Welcome, folks. Welcome to Winning on Wednesday. My name is Juan Vides, and I'm the founder of Winning on Wednesday. Winning on Wednesday is a platform that meets every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And the purpose is to build meaningful relationships. As I always say, people do business who they know, like, and trust. And we're also there to promote and help people brand their network and their brand. And one of the things today is I have a guest today is Dr. John. How are you, Dr. John?
Great to be here,
Dr.
Juan.
John.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And Dr. John, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Quickly introduce yourself.
Sure. Absolutely. Dr. John Gehnrich, Rhino Chiropractic at Holistic Wellness Center here in Rockville Center for the last 23, almost 24 years. Been a chiropractor for over 25 years and love what I do and do what I love. So it's hard to call it work. I kind of found this passion. It kind of found me, actually. I've always had it in my head, heart, and hands to want to help people. And I get to do that every day and help ease people's suffering through this journey through chiropractic and holistic minded wellness advice and guidance through nutrition and different ways of living a healthier lifestyle. And
Excellent.
it's just a great way to be able to share that message. And I'm glad to be able to share that
Thank
with
you.
your listeners today.
Thank you. And you're talking about journey. Let's talk about your journey. Where did it all start? Tell us where the early years, where did it all began?
Sure. So I grew up in Rockaway Beach, Bell Harbor, New York, over there in Queens. Um, and I just was always a kind of a active, kind of fun-loving guy. Enjoyed spending time with friends, and really got into the martial arts actually at a young age. At around 8 years old, I said, I wanted to be able to defend myself, but also my mom wanted me to get all that extra energy I had out. I was always a very enthusiastic and kind of, I wouldn't say hyper. I guess it would have been labeled hyperactive back in the day. They didn't really have those labels, but I had a lot of energy. So by going to the martial arts, it gave me a focus, it gave me a discipline, it gave me the ability to really, find a path that really carried with me up into my later years.
Tell us a bit about your role models at that time. Do you have any role models or
Sure. Well, I was always a big family man, so I love my mom and dad, of course. But I was with the martial arts. I was, attached to a school that had probably one of the largest schools in Brooklyn at the time. So I lived in Queens, and my mom picked me up every day after school to go to Brooklyn, about a half hour away. And I would take classes in Brooklyn from, like I said, 8 years old. At 11 years old in 1985, I became a black belt. And in my
Mhm.
young teenage years, I was actually an instructor for the school. It's called T Kang Taekwondo. And this Grandmaster Tae Kang was my teacher, and he was my role model in both, life and business. I saw how successful he was and how many people really respected him and loved him and learned so much. He taught you not just about how to throw a punch or defend yourself, but also about life, about, philosophy and how to, push through and kind of stay, motivated and get up when you're knocked down and just really take that philosophy into your life. And I did. I carried through to this day.
Wow. My kids took Taekwondo. It's a great sport. It's a great activity and stuff. So they didn't continue it, but they did take it. So, but I got to appreciate that, for the martial arts. So it's really a
That's
great martial
awesome.
arts. Yeah. Um, where did you go to school, John?
So I went to school in St. Louis, Missouri. First, I went to Zavarian in Brooklyn. That was my high school. And then I went, again, I was teaching about 150 kids a day in that martial arts school. Children, kids from 4 years old to about 14, 15 years old. I was able to instruct them in like 3 or 4 different classes, and I was the head instructor. So that gave me an ability to communicate and to be, able to, kind of find that, discipline and kind of that meaning through those years that you can kind of get lost or distracted. I had a girlfriend and all that good stuff, but I was really the passion was really in the martial arts school. And then from there, a fellow black belt, a martial art a fellow black belt, was a chiropractor, and so he kind of inspired me to get into chiropractic. At about 14 years old, I decided I wanted to become a chiropractor, and so that brought me to a school out in St. Louis, Missouri, because I decided so young that I wanted to become a chiropractor. It got me right to the school because not all schools allowed you to get into chiropractic school with just the 2 years undergrad in physics, organic, biology, and a lot of the more heavier science, organic chemistry stuff. So I was able to do that through Queens College, and then I also went out to St. Louis. And within 2 years, I was in chiropractic school. and I got my bachelor's degree through chiropractic school in Logan College of Chiropractic in St. Louis, Missouri. And I also got my bachelor's degree at the same time. So I got my doctorate in chiropractic and my bachelor's degree at the same time in about 5 1/3 years. So I kind of Doogie Howser it a bit,
Wow.
before now it's 4 years undergrad and another, which is good because it gives you a great experience in life, before you go. But I just was super focused and wanted to help people right off the bat.
Oh, wow. That was your passion, man. You had a passion, a goal, right? That's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's
I
pretty
was
cool.
motivated. I was motivated.
That's amazing. And the fact that you had these people surrounding you, that support you, your mentors and those people that were in the industry, that's awesome to have that at such an early age too, to be exposed to that. That's truly amazing. Do you keep in touch with some of these people or really?
I do. My grandmaster and his wife, who was like my second mom away from home, she would give
Oh,
me advice about gals and about just life. And she was just another ear. His mom, of course, always is a great ear and dad, but she was somebody outside of the family. Him and her were like a couple, and I was able to run a lot of stuff about relationships and just challenges or wins. I was able to share with them as well. What was neat
wow.
is I knew so early with chiropractic before I knew what chiropractic was. Even at 7 8 years old, before I was even in the martial arts school, exposed to that fellow black belt and all. By the way, his name's Drew Bazzacco. He lives right in the town that I practice in Rockville Center. He's a great guy. He used to run a place called Spine Care in Brooklyn. But the thing that inspired me was is that I would crack and push on people's backs. My friends, my other 8 9 year old friends, I would adjust them before I knew what chiropractic was because it felt good to be moved, like to have that crack in your back. So I would like practice on them and teach them how to do it to me before I even knew chiropractic. So I must have had it in me before I even knew. And then in the martial arts school, I always used to massage people. I was always good with my hands. So I would massage people, go around the Korean food table after, dinner, everybody want my massage. But I said, if you want my massage, you have to let me adjust you. Because the other guy was practicing on us when he was going to school. He'd get mad at me. He says, you can't adjust yet. You're not a chiropractor yet. I said, well, I got to start somewhere. So at like 14, 15 years old, I was manipulating before I knew what adjustments or realignments were. I kind of started moving bones. So like I said, at 18 years old, I was in chiropractic school and or 19 and 22, I was a chiropractor. So, and
Wow.
that's where it all started.
Wow. And tell us about that, about what your first job, I mean, at 22, right? And
Sure.
then what made you go from, tell us about your first job and then from that
Sure.
journey to what made you go on your own now? Like, because you're on your
Sure.
own. So that whole journey, can you tell us about that?
That's a great story. That's a great story. Thank you for asking it. So yeah, it's like kind of like going down memory lane. I haven't thought about this stuff in a while. When you're almost 50 and people take listening to everybody else's story during the day, and not many people are asking me about my journey. So it's kind of nice. It's a nice trip down memory lane. So I got out in '97, as I said, in December '97 at 22, as a doctor of chiropractic. And of course, you think you know everything back then. When you first got out of school, you have it all figured out. Just like your first girlfriend, you're going to marry her, right? So, the interesting thing about it was is that I was involved in a group called Dynamic Essentials (DE), and it was down in Atlanta, Georgia, attached to a school called Life University. It was Life Chiropractic College back then, and then it turned into Life University. It's the largest chiropractic school in the country, in the world, actually. And so I would go to seminars during school that would talk about philosophy, how to promote this mission or idea of chiropractic. Because, there's a lot of different schools of thoughts, and sometimes there's some skepticism. A lot of your listeners might have different ideas of what chiropractic is. And my passion has become over the years to dispel those myths and misconceptions. So part of that group, Dynamic Essentials, would meet every 3 months. And they had philosophy of, trying to help change the world one spine at a time through education. Doctor means teacher. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to be able to educate people with passion by giving classes in my workshops. So when I was in school, I met some really great docs. One out here in Long Island that I initially was going to work with, Dr. Michael Halloran, great guy, one of the most successful chiropractors I know. And so I had this really vibrant energy. They called me Rhino. Johnny Rhino was my nickname because I was like a rhino, like a bull in the china shop. I was like super excited and wanted to change and evangelize the world with chiropractic. I wanted to just everybody with a spine and a heartbeat needed to get adjusted. And so I went into his office, and he's been doing this for a while, and I was like, he's got a very smooth way about him, and I'm this hyper excited, want to change the world kind of guy. And so within 3 days, he's like, I don't think this is going to work out. You're awesome. You need to open up your own practice. You need to be in your own space promoting this. You really don't need to work for anybody. But I wasn't quite ready in the business sense. I didn't really feel ready to be able to, run and manage people in the staff while, chiropractic assistants or CAs. I didn't feel ready to really jump into, running the business or, dealing with all the finances and, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of felt a little green in that area. So that same day that he said it's not going to work out, we got a call. He got a call from another doctor from DE, Dr. Sharon Gorman, who's one of the most successful chiropractors I know in Pennsylvania, in the Pocono area. And so she had 3 practices up there that she needed somebody to fill one of those practices. And what blesses me most is that my mom and dad had a house up in what's called Lake Naomi or Pocono Summit, only 4 miles from that actual office that she needed me to fill. So like I felt very like serendipitous. I felt like God was on my side. I felt like there was like, like synchronicity, a tremendous amount of synchronicity that, I was totally provided for from being let go, from an opportunity I was really excited about. And not because I didn't do a great job, just because he felt I should go on my own, to now running a practice, one of her 3 offices or satellite offices, 4 miles from my mom and dad's house, and stay there for at no expense, and live in a beautiful area and get to practice on her business basically. And so she already had, a good number of patients. It wasn't her location. She had an associate there, and I was taking over the associate's position. Of course, the associate didn't keep the volume that great because he was on the way out. So I stepped in, and then I built a practice basically like it was my own. And so I kept the ownership of this Gorman Chiropractic Center in Pocono Summit, New York, Pennsylvania, excuse me. And I was able to build it from the maybe less than 100 to over 300 people. I would take care of families and children and pregnant moms and prenatal and postnatal. So it was really a huge passion for me. And of course, I had a lot of interesting characters come in, and they would take their gun off and they put it on the tape, on the little stand over there and say, okay, make sure it's a good adjustment, doc. So or they bring me chickens or pies to pay me. So it was a very rural kind of different experience from being a Queens, Brooklyn kid. But it really gave me my legs. And I would go to DE every 3 months, which that chiropractor, all credit to her as an associate doctor, she paid for us to go down to that area in Georgia for Dynamic Essentials, DE. And it really just gave me that excitement to continue through and help do what I do. Yeah. And so that wound down around 2000. Family was still in New York, and I felt that kind of connection because my nieces were born, which I have a story to tell you about that. But my twin nieces were born in 99. And so I started looking to come back to New York and open my own place. And I wanted to be in a family town, kind of a soccer kind of, family orientated kind of mom and pop Main Street kind of town. And I found this sleepy little awesome town called Rockville Center on the South Shore of Long Island. And it became, just my home. And this is where I've been for the last 23 and a half years.
Wow.
Years
I was gonna say, I used to take my kids to, when they were little, to the Poconos, to the Kalahari and all the Poconos. And that was more commercialized, because before it used to be like the getaway with the Pocono, Mount Airy Lodge and all that.
Yes. Right there. I was right in that area.
That used to be beautiful. But now, I mean, we going back, it's more commercialized now. It used to be not, it's definitely more gentrified. It's definitely more gentrified, because you got your McDonald's, your Taco Bell, you have your, like that didn't exist there. That didn't exist like 40,
it was very,
30,
very, it was very
different.
Kind of rural, a lot of big plots that gotten taken up. Yeah, so good, bad, or indifferent. It's definitely a different feel there. But my parents have since sold the house there. But we just still go up with the family every once in a while. Once a year, twice a year, we go up to Camelback or to those kind of places to experience, still the Pocono feel. It's close enough to be able to visit,
You're bringing me back now. So, but wow, this is the beauty about it, sharing it, the stories and just bringing you back, making you look reflecting, and sharing about information. I'd like to call this moment the golden nugget time, which is what you would like to leave any valuable information that can help somebody become a better business person or even help their career. Is there any information that you want to share or give examples of?
Well, I'm humbled all the time, like people like yourself, who's amazingly creative and skillful. Just right before we got on, you were showing me GPT and all these amazing tools
AI,
that you use to promote.
artificial intelligence.
You
Yeah.
are ninja in your master in your craft as well. And
Thank
anybody
you.
that doesn't use Juan in that regard,
The check is
is
in the
missing
mail, by the
out.
way. The check is in the mail, by the way.
So for real, I mean, you're a wealth of information, and you give it so openly and so without
Sure.
any attachment.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful guy that way. Ever since I've known you, I took care of your dad for a little while,
Yep,
which is a
you did. You
blessing,
did. Yes,
and
thank you.
and
Thank you.
yourself a little bit, and it's just been great to know you. I think over 10 years now, so
Yes,
it's just great to reconnect with you. I know a lot
always.
of us have are reconvening and reconnecting after many years. So the golden nugget is kind of what you do and what I do, which is to connect with people, to be authentic, to
Right.
really really care about people's story, not just ask them because you're trying to get them to buy what you're selling, so to speak. There's nothing more valuable, as Grant Cardone would say, is sales, right? Selling what you believe in and with passion. And as a doctor means teacher, teaching people and educating them, which is what you do. And once you do, if people want what you have to share, great. Back in the day, back in my old 2000s days, when I was like that excited, intense, which I'm still excited, but overly excited Rhino. I wanted everybody to get chiropractic, and I wanted to change everybody. Everybody with a spine and a heartbeat needs to get chiropractic care. What I realized is that know your audience. So part of that is also in my skills of the years is listening to who you're in front of, what they need, really truthfully through the Socratic method and asking questions, really figuring out what they need and find out what their reason why they're seeing you is. And a lot of times it's not their back pain or their neck pain. It's what's caused that back or neck pain. It's not always a physical trauma or a car accident or a work related or sports related injury. A lot of times it's the emotional stress, which all of us as, business owners, especially over these last few years, deal with, trying to the work family balance. That's always an interesting juggle as well, which I'm sure you want to also know that, just the balancing, you mentioned your kids, being available and present with them, even when you're trying to make sure you grow and build your business. So I look at it as like, if you love what you do and do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. I always took that philosophy. The second thing is that, things are going to go wrong, how you handle them and look at those challenges as opportunities to grow. That's another big nugget that I use. Another one that I like to use also is to overgive, like you do. To share those trust triggers, so to speak, that they use that terminology, but to really give openly of your time and energy. I give a complimentary consultation, never charge to speak with me in my office. I give the opportunity to find out, is this the right fit for you? Are you the right fit for our office? Because at this stage of the game, 23 and a half, 24 years into this thing, if it's not the right fit, I'm not going to just push you through just to get, whatever it is that, you think I want to get. I want to help you, but if you're not ready for that, I might not be the right fit. If you're looking for a quick snap or crack without any x-rays or evaluation and you just want to get a quick fix, that's not my method. I'm more of a connect with you, find out what the real problem is. It might be emotional, it might be chemical, it might be nutritional. It could be other things going on that you don't realize that through the right questions bring you to an understanding. So listening and Socratic methods, another gem I would say to really connect. And then also to market and network, just get out there and meet people, just let people know that you care because they don't really care how much you know, they care how much you care. So, and so it's more about really connecting with the humanness of people, which I think is lost. And so it's kind of easy to do what I do. Chiropractors tend to be touchy feely, lovey kind of guys anyway, or gals. For me, it fits my personality. I really care about my patients, maybe sometimes too much, maybe I want to help people who aren't ready, but like for the most part, like I really want to make a difference, not just that individual, but to their families and to the planet, one spine at a time. So probably a longer winded message than you
No,
want,
it's
but
it's it's all good.
I'm, as you can tell, I'm pretty
You're
passionate
passionate.
about
No,
doing what
no,
I
it's
do.
great. No, this is great information, and you gave a lot of great nuggets. I was like, wow. I'm glad that we're recording this so that we could replay this, and a lot of great information. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's been great. Speaking of network, do you belong to other networking organizations or spheres? Because talking about connections, it's really important to network, as we know. So do you belong to any of the?
Absolutely. I belong to what's called the New York Chiropractic Council, and I have like a group of chiropractors with similarly minded philosophy, more focused on healing and helping people than just the business aspect. Not that we don't share business ideas and ways to promote our practices, but like they're more into, like myself, into families and wellness, taking care of kids for asthma, ear infections, allergies, things that you wouldn't think chiropractic can help. It does. Prenatal and postnatal, taking care of those little infants with reflux or digestive issues or colic, ear infections for the more as they get a little older, or the asthmas. We have really tremendous success rates. So we talk about and we get together and share those different experiences, those success stories, those testimonials that we have in our practice to continue to inspire. I don't go to DE as much anymore, that place down in Atlanta. We just too challenging with running a family and trying to keep that work balance situation with my 13-year-old and my 11-year-old, and all the sports and activities, and of course my 5-year-old. So I have a lot to focus on there and keep the wife happy and have those family meals and try to keep that balance. So with that being said, I do get together with my fellow chiropractors, and that part of just sharing ideas and I think that's important. And that's maybe another nugget, is that in your industry, try to connect with people who have similar ideas that you can bounce and mastermind that off of, just like I do with you, Juan. It doesn't need to be in the same industry per se, or just share with people your talents and then share or barter or, kind of exchange like you just shared with me. It makes me want to say, hey, come in, get yourself tuned up. Let's get you an adjustment. You gave me
Thank
all
you.
this great information about ChatGPT and how to provide, ideas on how to promote my craft. Let me help you. That's the kind of stuff that I think is a really good thing to do.
Absolutely. Thank you. No, that's great. And so tell us about Rhino Chiropractor and your and holistic wellness. Tell us about your practice.
Well, we might need a whole nother. No, I'm just joking. You can imagine that with my passion, sometimes I might go on a little. I get my soliloquies, but I would say that the biggest thing that I think, or the biggest myth or misconception, is that you go to a chiropractor once, you got to go for the rest of your life. The idea that they want you to just keep coming just because it's good. What we do here is that we objectively show you what's going on with your spine. We take x-rays on all patients with a spine and a heartbeat. It's not just where does it hurt. Oh, it hurts here. Crack, crack. It's not how we work. We evaluate you with computerized tools to measure where the nerves are being pinched. We use, I kind of have some models here. We use this tools to educate, to show where the nerves are being pinched or kinked, or even show where possibly the bones at the top part of the neck might be rotated or twisted as it puts pressure on the brainstem, causing headaches or sinus and allergy issues. Of course, low back, sciatica, and disc issues. Now, we approach things specifically as Rhino Chiropractic and Holistic Wellness Center. The holistic part is that we look at the whole body. We don't just look at where you hurt, and we use these tools to objectively analyze, are you a candidate for chiropractic? Now, typically, if we find the misalignment with a posture machine that we have, and the computerized scan shows different colors like red or orange being more severe misalignments in the spine, called subluxations. It's a fancy word for misalignment. It's the cavity for chiropractors, basically. So we detect where these misalignments are, and through those tools and x-rays that we mark and analyze, we don't just put them up and say, oh, you don't have a fracture, go get an MRI. We actually mark and analyze with numbers where those bones are out of alignment. And then after a period of adjustments, usually frequently in the beginning and then less as you continue to heal, the pain may go away, but the structure is still out of alignment. I use the analogy of the car tires continue to wear if you don't correct the axle. So we got to correct the axle first, then change the tires or correct the tires. You follow? So our goal is to get to the cause of the problem, do it holistically and non-invasively. So over the years, I found that there was limitations to just adjusting, that I implemented some other holistic tools. Two of them that transformed my practice and the health of my patients is cold laser therapy, which is called low-level laser, which it means it doesn't heat up the tissue, doesn't create any free radicals or negative effects. So it actually uses the light to go into the tissue. It's like quantum healing, and it actually regenerates the tissue, decreases pain fibers and messages of pain to the brain, better than any electric stim or ultrasound that you might do with physical therapy. So it's really a great tool. Plus, it causes no negative effects to the body. You just can't look directly into it. So there's no free radical growth with the hot lasers that are out there. It's actually very effective, not like the lights that you can get off of, the infomercials late at night for $1.50. It's really a very, very amazing tool. It healed my rotated cuff about 18 years ago. So it transformed my practice that way for knees, meniscus tears, rotated cuff, or any of those conditions. But I also recently, within the last 2 years, implemented spinal decompression. And it's been amazing, the transformation for that patient that's tried chiropractic, that's done acupuncture, that did physical therapy, has had a ton of painful, unresolving epidurals, medications that are making their liver or kidney not well. And of course, they're on the docket for surgery and they just don't want it. So that patient uses decompression with us. We'll use the laser and we adjust them and we do some nutrition and supplementation. That protocol, that solution, what I call the holistic disc herniation solution, has been transformative for patients that are on the docket ready for surgery, and has helped many patients not have to go down that route. If it is something that they need, like a surgery is necessary, which there is a place at times, I think on one hand, I can say how many patients that have needed it over the last almost 24 years. So I really will help people try to avoid that with these tools. So I'm very passionate about reevaluating that on post X-ray to see have we corrected the axle, have we improved it. So it's all objective and no guesswork. So that's kind of the difference with us versus just where does it hurt, lay down, ring dinger, pulling the neck out. Not that these tools and chiropractic with these other services aren't great, but it's a lot more objective. And then you understand why you're going. And there's a kind of a set protocol, and it's not just indefinite come forever. Now, do I still have people come for the last 24 years getting adjusted once a week just to stay healthy? That's another passion of mine, is preventative wellness, which we're educating the public about, that you don't need any pain or issues or any issues with your spine. It's really about keeping you well, helping your reflux, your asthma, your digestion, your elimination. Everything works better. Plus, it helps reduce stress and increase your body's flow, blood flow and energy flow. So sleeping better and everything else. So that's kind of the gist of what I do. And my passion is to help people do that. So anybody that I can help that is listening today, or anybody that you know that I can help, or anybody the people that are listening know, don't hesitate to have them connect with us at rhinochiropractic.com or our office.
Okay.
516-536-6000.
I was just about to ask you, beat me to the punch, that Dr. John, and thank you so much for sharing your story. But if people want to learn more about you, again, one more time, what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, it's rhinochiropractic.com. And our email is rhinocchirorvc as in Rockville Center at gmail.com. And of course, our phone number is 516-536-6000. When I'm not in the office, it forwards to my cell. I mean, that work family balance, sometimes can get a little skewed, but I am available because I do want to help, and I'm available to answer a question if you have. If you're curious if chiropractic can help, or does it do anything for this or that, or have a few minutes to talk, if I'm available, I'll be more than happy to. And if not, you leave a message or a text and we'll connect with you. So
excellent.
Again, I'm here and passionate about helping transform the world one spine at a time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. John. And if you'd like to be a member of Winning on Wednesday, simply go to our website, www.winningonwednesday.com, and click on the first time guest. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you so much. And Dr. John, thank you again. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.